Yes, sir.
Good morning, all of you. So, as we know, in the last revision class, we have been discussed till acceleration, correct? So, acceleration A is equals to what we have been studied? Final velocity minus initial velocity divided by time. Means
Time
the
taken.
rate of change of velocity is known as acceleration. So, when the body is having increasing velocity, then we can say it is called as acceleration. We can say called as what? Increasing acceleration, or else we can say called as what? What is another name? Positive acceleration. Understand? So positive acceleration. That is what we should call it as. Yes, guys?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Next. When it comes to here, later you can see if the same body, if it is moving towards to the if the body started decreasing acceleration, like in the sense of if the velocity of the body is decreasing, means downwards from
retardation.
low velocity if is coming, then that is called as negative acceleration. What we should call?
Negative acceleration.
Negative acceleration, or else what?
Negative acceleration.
Understanding? Retardation. What we should call?
Retardation.
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 We have another name. What is that called as? Deacceleration.
Deacceleration.
Deacceleration. Do you understand?
Deceleration.
So negative acceleration or retardation or deacceleration. So this is also what is the formula? Acceleration A is equals to final velocity minus initial velocity divided by time. But whenever you are writing acceleration, then what sign should come here? The sign should come here minus. Yes or no, guys? In
Yes,
this
sir. Or retardation.
A will come minus. A will come minus. But whenever you are saying retardation, whenever you are writing as a retardation, then what I said, you no need to write the minus sign, because retardation indicates already it is decreasing, so that it is no need to show. It is no need to show the minus sign. So minus sign is not needed. Do you understand, guys? Everybody? That is you have to remember. So in the question, what they're asking. So based upon the question, you have to answer. Either they're asking acceleration or deacceleration. That understand? So if it is decreasing acceleration, but still they are asked to write what is acceleration means, then by the time you should write minus sign. Understand, everybody? Tamil Selvan? Yes or no? That is so.
Sir.
So increasing acceleration means like this, the graph will be. And what is the decreasing acceleration? The graph will be like this. Yes or no, guys? Yes, down.
Yes, sir.
That is you have to understand. So this is what increasing and decreasing acceleration. Now, if it comes to here, already in the last class I have taught you what is average velocity formula. So what is average velocity formula, guys? Can anybody say? What is average velocity formula?
Total distance divided by total time.
Total distance traveled divided by what is that? Total time. Total time taken. Correct. Now this is the general formula. Now we have one more formula for V average, that is when the body is at uniform acceleration. When the body is at uniform acceleration. All of you remember, when the body is at uniform acceleration, then in this case V average is equals to, understand what is the formula? Initial velocity plus final velocity
V by
divided by 2. So please note it down. So this is the formula when we can use when the body is having, if the body is understanding, if the velocity of the body is always changing, but changing in how? Changing in uniform rate. Uniform rate means what, Monish? Acceleration is uniform. Understand, Ra? So velocity is changing. But how it is changing, Elamukil? Velocity changes always. Changes
in equal distance, in equal interval of time.
Uniform rate. So what do you mean by uniform rate? Means in the sense of uniform acceleration. Uniform acceleration. Then we can say V average is equals to what? Initial velocity plus final velocity divided by 2. Understand, Laksha? Manya? Samaya? Elomukil, everybody. That is Darun.
Yes, sir.
So that is your to understanding. So uniform velocity, uniform acceleration, V average is equals to. So we have to understand what initial velocity plus final velocity divided by 2. Yes or no? That is okay. Laksha, clear? So this is what we average. Next, if you'll observe very carefully, next we will go to the graphical representation of motions. Let us see what it is happening and how it is. That is what most important thing. So we have a 3 equations of motion. What is that? Equations of uniformly accelerated motion. 3 equations. What is that? First equation of motion, E equals to U plus AT. Second equation,
S is equal to ut plus half at square.
third equation,
AS is equal to v square minus u square.
that is the 3 equations we have been studied from the long back. Yes, guys. Now even the derivations also we know it, but we want the graphical representation of motion. So please, all of you, that is what our today's concept also. So graphical representation of motion. Please keep heading. What is that?
Graphical.
Graphical representation of motion. This is the most important. Graphical representation of motion. Yes, guys. That is. For those who what happened to Darun? Darun is not lifting the phone.
Yes, sir.
Okay. 1 minute. Jayvarsan is also there. Jayvarsan is not there. What happened? Oh. So now, what is this? Graphical representation of motion. So let's start now. Everybody, Manya? Yes. So
Yes, sir.
let us come to
Yes, sir.
here. The graphical representation of motion. The first equation which have been studied, you may remember, distance and time graphs. What is that? Distance and time graph. That is the first equations which have been studied, first representation. So distance and time graph. So please note it down.
Time graph.
Distance and time graph. Time graph. So as we know, if you'll take distance and time, always will give you what, Maitreyan? Distance and time always will give you. So it is time, x-axis and y-axis. So y-axis who will be and x-axis what will be? Please respond.
Time, sir.
Time will be there, sir.
Y-axis always we have to take it as a distance. Yes, sir. So distance we have to take it. Now let us come to here. Now, as we know, if the body is at uniform rate, means if the body started moving, how it will be moving? If the body is at uniform speed, then it will travel equal distances in equal interval of time. Yes or no, guys?
Sir.
So it will travel equal distances in equal interval of time. So now, always as we know, speed and distance, time and distance graph will give you what, guys? Distance and time graph will give you what?
Speed.
Yes or no? So now that is what you have to remember. If the body is traveling equal distances in equal interval of time, then the body always, how the graph will be? The speed of the graph will be in a straight line. Yes or no? Yes. Respond.
Yes, sir.
That is. So speed of the graph will be in a straight line. So distance time graph always will give you what? Always will give you what, guys? It will give you speed. That is you have to remember. So if the body is traveling, Adarsan, good morning. If the body is traveling uniform distance in uniform time, understanding means equal distances in equal interval of time, then we can say body is in uniform speed. Body is in uniform speed. And what is the graph of the uniform speed? Graph of the uniform speed is always straight line. What is that? Graph of the uniform speed is always straight line. So always remember, uniform speed is always straight line. So now distance time graph always will give you what, Pradosh? Distance time graph will give you always speed. That is how to remember. So that is what the speed. So as we know, the intersection point O and the speed of the body is OA. What is the speed of the body? OA. So this is what the graph for distance and time graph. Now, I have given you some graph, for example, in exam. Now I want to find a speed of this body. How to find the speed of the body? So this is the graph I have given you people. Now you tell me. So this is the time axis and this is the distance axis. Now, I want to find the speed. How to find the speed, Elmokil, from this? What we have to do? What I said, you have to find the speed means from the distance and time graph. So, I want to find the speed at this point. So, now what I have to do? Same thing, like acceleration, how we will find? Slope of the graph. Yes or no?
Slope
Same
of the graph, slope of the graph.
here also same thing. Slope of the graph we'll find. So we'll extend it into the y-axis. We'll extend it to the what? We'll extend it into the so wherever it will cut. Suppose
Y-axis.
so let me imagine this point is B because this point is A, this point is B, and this point is C. So now what is the speed of the graph from this? Anybody please respond. What is the speed of the graph? Speed of the graph will give you what, guys? Slope of the graph. Understand? So from this, speed is equals to, what is the slope here? What is the formula? Speed is equals to, Monish? Please
Distance
respond.
by time.
Laksha, what is the speed of the graph, Alana? Speed is equals to
Distance
what?
by time.
Distance traveled. Distance
Distance traveled by time taken.
time. Now, for example, here, what is the distance traveled, Elmokil? Distance traveled what? What is the distance traveled? OB. What is the distance traveled? OB is the distance traveled. Sorry, AB. AB is the distance traveled. And what is the time, Ra? What is the time, guys?
OB.
OB is the
OB.
time taken. So this is called as speed. Are you understand, guys? Tamil Selvan? So speed of the graph. So speed from the graph, how to find? Slope of the graph only. So this is the slope. So you can check it. I am drawing with another color. You can check it. Brothers, understand, brothers? So this is the time taken, and this is the what? Distance
Slope of the graph.
distance traveled by a body. So that is what. So this will give you. So this is the distance traveled by a body, and this is the time taken by a body. So if we'll do that, what will get? OBA. So we used to get the speed of the body. Understand, everybody? Please respond me.
Yes, sir.
So how to find the speed from a given graph? By finding the slope of the graph. That's all. Okay, da? So slope of the graph. So slope of the graph will give you always speed. From which one? From the distance and time. Same equation you can see. Suppose if I keep here speed and time, then what will give you? Slope of the graph will give you what? Acceleration. Slope of the graph will give you what? Acceleration.
Acceleration.
Yes or no? That is how to remember it. Any doubt? Please respond, everybody. No? So this is AB by OB is called as what? Slope. Slope or gradient of the graph. Understanding? So gradient also we can call it. It is also OA. This AB. Understanding? AB by OB is only known as slope of the graph. Slope or gradient. Okay. Gradient of which line, Ra? OA line. OA graph. Which graph?
OA graph.
You can check it. Is it OA graph or not? Monish? Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. This is the first type of graph. So the first type of graphs which have been studied is distance time graph. Understanding? So which the body is in uniform speed. So uniform speed, what is the graph? Graph is always in a straight line. Understand, Laksha? Now, if the body is in non-uniform motion, means non-uniform, unequal distance in unequal interval of time, then what we can say? It will be in a curved line.
Curved line.
Then how the graph will come? Same graph it will come, but the shape of the graph. So this is the y-axis and this is the x-axis. So x-axis time and y-axis what? Y-axis distance. So now non-uniform speed. How the graph will come? This is the
curved, sir.
Yes or no?
Curved, sir.
Yes. Non-uniform speed. So non-uniform speed means what? Two definitions we have. Unequal distances. Unequal distances in what, Elmokil? Unequal
interval of
Equal interval of time.
Interval of time.
Unequal
interval of time.
Equal distance.
Or else
time.
equal distances.
Equal distance in unequal interval of time.
Unequal
Unequal times. Interval of times. Do you understand that? That is called as non-uniform speed. So non-uniform speed, always the graph will be what? Curved path, curved line. So the distance we can say the speed is non-uniform. What is that? The speed is non-uniform. Understand, Ra? Everybody, please
Yes,
respond.
sir.
Yes, next. This is the first type of graphs. What is this graph? Distance time graphs. What we should call?
Distance time
Distance
graph.
time graph.
Any doubt in this? Laksha, Mani and
sir.
Surya?
No doubt, sir.
Here, all of you, Adarshan, Maitreyan. That is next. If you'll understand this, then we are going with the second type of graphs called as speed time graphs. What is that graphs? Speed time graphs. Understand
Speed
that?
time graph.
Time graph.
Speed and time graphs. So speed time graphs, we have three different types of graphs. How many graphs? Three different types of graphs. So let us discuss speed time graphs. The first type of speed time graph is called as the speed of the body remains constant. What is that? Speed of the body. Speed of the body remains constant. Remains constant. So constant in the sense of what? Acceleration is what? Mukil. Remains constant. Speed
0 meter per second, sir.
constant
Zero,
means
sir.
in the sense of what? Acceleration. No acceleration.
Acceleration is 0.
Understanding? No acceleration. Please kindly remember. So if speed of the bodies remains constant means acceleration is 0. So acceleration is 0 means, for example, 10-kilometer distance. Slowly you are traveling with the same speed. Suppose your speed is 50 kilometer per hour. Nowhere you are reducing speed, nowhere you are increasing speed. Same speed you are traveling. Then we can say that is called as what? Constant speed. So by the your acceleration is what, Monish? Your acceleration is
0 meter per second, sir.
that is. So your acceleration is 0. So at the time, what will come? 0 time. So time axis is in what? Time is in x-axis, and the speed is in what? Speed is in y-axis. Yes, guys. Yes. So speed is in y-axis. Now the constant speed means graph will come how? No increasing acceleration, no decreasing acceleration. It will come
Straight line, sir.
parallel to the parallel to the x-axis. How it will come?
X-axis.
Parallel to
Parallel
the
to the time.
understanding. So that is parallel to the x-axis. This is only called as constant speed. What we should call? Constant speed. Is it okay, guys? Now here, constant speed, you have to remember, we cannot find acceleration. We cannot find acceleration.
Acceleration.
We cannot find acceleration, but we can find something. What is that? We can find distance traveled. We can find distance
Traveled.
distance traveled. How to find distance traveled? Anybody can say, suppose.
I want to take the area, sir.
Yes. So how to find the distance? So what is that? So let me imagine this speed is A, this point is B, and if I'll extend it into the x-axis, what will come up? It will give you a C point. So now
Sir, a rectangle area we have to
find the distance. So distance traveled S is equals to what will come up? Area of A.
Area of
OA. OA BC means what? Called it as rectangle. Understand, right? Yeah, rectangle. So area of a rectangle, what is the formula? Length into breadth. Right, sir? Length into breadth equals to what? OC into OA.
OC into OB, OA.
OA. Okay, da? Everybody understand? My prayer. So from the constant speed graph, we cannot find acceleration. Suppose they will ask you, what is the acceleration from this graph? What is the acceleration from this graph? 0 meter per second square. Understand? Manya and Samya, Laksha. So Alana, everybody. So from this graph, we cannot find this acceleration. So speed of the bodies remains constant. So constant speed means acceleration is 0, but the body can cover a certain distance. So how to find the distance? Area of the given shape. Understand, Ra? Brother? That is the first type of graph. Any doubt?
Sir.
Speed time graph, when the speed remains
No doubt, sir.
so remains constant, we can say this one. So that is what you have to remember it. So that is so distance traveled only we can calculate from this graph. That is what OC into OA. Yes or no? Clear?
Yes, sir.
Next. Now it is constant speed over. Now what is second one? Speed changes at a uniform rate. What is that second type of graph? Speed changes at a uniform rate. Understanding? So speed time graph, speed changes in how ra? Speed changes
In uniform rate.
in uniform rate. Uniform rate. So uniform rate in the sense of what? Uniform acceleration. What is that? Uniform rate means uniform acceleration. Is it okay, guys? Uniform acceleration. So now uniform acceleration means you people already know the graph. What is that? What is that uniform acceleration means? Graph. So this is the
Straight line.
yeah, speed. So speed, and this is the time. So now how the uniform acceleration, brothers? Uniform acceleration means, Maitriyan, it will be
Straight line, sir. From zero. Slope.
straight line. So let me imagine this is OA. Understanding now. So this graph will give you always what, guys? What is slope?
Sir, slope of the
So
graph.
this is called as uniform acceleration. What is that? Uniform.
Acceleration.
So now uniform acceleration. Suppose I want to find the acceleration from this graph. So what we have to do? Acceleration means what? Change in velocity.
Slope of the
velocity by time taken.
V minus U by T.
That is, what is the change in velocity here? You have to write the slope of the graph. So this is the slope of the graph. So what is the slope of the graph? Anybody? What is the slope of the graph? Let me imagine this point is B and this point is C. So now you can check it. So what is the slope of the graph? AB divided by OB. Understand?
OB.
Because change in time is OB. Change in time is OB. Change in velocity is what? AB. Yes or no? So this will give you the
Yes,
acceleration.
sir.
What will give you? Acceleration.
Acceleration.
Now, from this graph, also we can find distance traveled by a body. How to find distance traveled by a body?
Sir, we have to
The
apply
area.
triangle's area formula. Half into base into
Yeah,
height.
Half into base into
Here,
height.
what are you seeing? Triangle. Correct or not? What is the triangle? OAB.
Half into base into height.
Understanding? So OAB triangle. So which is equals to what? Half into
Half
base
into base into
height.
height.
So what is the base here? What is the base here? All of you respond.
Sir,
Base
OB, sir.
OB, sir.
height is what? AB. That's all.
AB.
Are you clear,
AB.
guys? Laksha, Manya, Samaya, Alana, Adarshan. That's all. So from this graph, we can find two things. What is that? One is acceleration. Another one is we can find distance.
Distance.
Both we can find. Is it okay, Ra? Nobody will answer.
Sir.
So acceleration
Sir,
and as well as distance, both we can find this. This is called as acceleration. Now, if you'll go with the reverse, retardation, this is uniform increasing acceleration. What about the retardation graph? Retardation graph, it will be how? It will be same like,
Down, sir.
but it will be downward direction.
sir. It
Yes, sir.
will,
Downward direction.
Downward
yes,
direction.
sir.
Sir, no. So downward direction.
Yes, sir.
So you can take here. So how the graph will be? Elmukel, Jaivarsini?
Slope, sir, like slope.
The graph
Sir,
will
Y maximum, X is minimum, sir.
that is. Yes or no? Y is maximum, X is minimum. So this is the graph which is called as what? Uniform retardation. What is that?
Retardation.
Retardation or deacceleration or negative acceleration.
Uniform non-acceleration.
Retardation. So in this case also, we can find two things. What is that? Acceleration. Let us imagine O and this is the A and this is the point where we can take it as a B. Yes, guys. From this also same thing. So what is the slope of the graph? Slope of the graph will give you what? OA divided by OB.
OA divided by OB.
OB. Correct, Ra? But it is what? It is what? Negative. Yes or no? Decreasing acceleration.
Sir.
Okay. And as well as we can find distance traveled by a body. Distance traveled by a body is what? Shape of the triangle. Again, same thing. Half into
Into base into
height, which is equals to what? Half into what is the base, Ra?
Half
OB
into
AO.
OB into OA. Yes or no, guys? Any doubt in this? You can respond.
No, sir.
Clear? That is. So this is the second type of graphs. What is the second type of graphs, Pradosh? Monish? What is second type of graphs? What is second type of graphs? The body which is having a uniform rate. Change in
Uniform
speed,
rate.
uniform. Understanding the speed time graph. When
Yes,
speed
sir.
changes at a uniform rate. When speed changes at a
Uniform rate.
uniform rate means uniform acceleration. But what is
Acceleration.
the velocity of the body here? In this graph, what is the initial velocity of the body here? In this graph, what is the initial velocity of the body? Initial velocity of the body.
Zero, sir.
Zero. Understand?
Zero.
Be very careful. So this is the graph for the body which is having initial velocity is zero, but later speed is changing how? Speed is changing at constant rate, uniform rate. Uniform rate, that is called as. Okay, Ra, any doubt?
No, sir.
No doubt, sir.
Now, this is the second type of graph. Now, let us comes to the third type of graph. So, what is the third type of graph? You already may know this. This is what the graph which we can use for deriving three equations of motion also. That is only, see, second graph, what? Second graph, body is already having some, the body is already,
Maximum.
body is having uniform, initial velocity is zero. Initial speed is zero body. But if you'll go to the next case, third case, what is that? Initial speed of the body is not zero. What is that? Initial speed of the body
is
not zero.
not zero.
Yeah, speed time graphs when the initial speed of the body is not zero. So that is the third one. So this is the graph you can use to derive the three equations also. Yes or no, guys?
Yes, sir.
Speed time graph when what? Initial velocity.
Is not zero.
Initial velocity of a, initial speed. Initial speed of a body is not zero. Is not zero. Yes, guys. Tamil Selvan,
Sir.
Sir.
So let us take now x-axis and y-axis. Sorry, x-axis and y-axis. This is x and this is y. So x-axis who will be there? X-axis who will be there? Always. Y-axis.
Sir, time, sir. Y-axis.
Speed.
Sir.
Now what they are saying?
Speed.
Body is not having zero. Already body is having
They're
some.
not
Okay.
zero.
Body is already having some initial velocity.
Inflation.
And it is going in a uniform rate.
Middle, sir.
Yes. So 0, OA, from there it is going in a uniform rate. Yes or no, guys? This is the graph
Sir.
which have been studied. Maitrayan, are you remember? This is the graph which have been studied.
Sir. Yes, sir.
Yes or no? So from that point, it is going in a what? Uniform acceleration.
Uniform acceleration.
Now, here, I want to find the acceleration from here at this point. Let me imagine this point is B. Understanding? And what I have to do? We have to extend
Slope,
it
sir. Slope.
towards the x-axis. So this point is C. And if we'll extend this one this side, this point is what? E point.
E, sir. E. Middle, sir. Middle D.
D point. Is it okay, guys? Yes or no, everybody? That is. So dotted lines. Now, this observe carefully here. So here, if you want this initial speed of the body is zero, understanding not zero, then this is the graph will come. So with the help of this graph only, we people used to derive all the three equations of motion. Yes or no? Please respond.
Yes, sir.
Sir.
Yes. So from this graph, if I want to find the acceleration, how to find the acceleration? Anybody? Acceleration is equals to what? Here also. Slope of the graph. What is the
Slope of the graph.
What is the slope of the graph here? Please respond here. What is the slope of the graph? You can check it here.
Sorry.
The slope of the graph. Yes or no? Yes.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Yes. What is the slope of the graph here? This is the slope of the graph. What is that?
ABD.
Huh?
ABD.
Correct slope, Pradosh. So what is the slope of the graph?
Sir.
From this, what is the slope?
By BD.
So slope of the graph is equals to what?
ABD.
Huh? The slope I am asking,
ABD.
I am not asking triangle. What is the slope I am
Sir,
asking?
BD, sir. BD.
Yeah.
BD.
Slope is equals to what?
Sir.
Slope is equals to what? Change in velocity. What is the change in velocity? Change in velocity.
BD divided by AD.
Change in time
BD divided by
BD
AD.
divided by AD, sir.
BD divided by AD will give you
AD.
acceleration. Okay, Ra? Understand everybody?
Yes, sir.
Now, BD divided by AD. So, but here you can see AD is parallel to what? AD is parallel
OC.
to OC. Same way, OA is parallel to what? OA is parallel to
DC.
CD.
Now, from this we can write AD is equals to OC equals to time. Same way, AO is equals to DC is equals to initial velocity U.
Initial U.
Okay, that is. Now, what is the final velocity? This is called as final velocity. What is
Final
this?
velocity.
Final velocity V. So now slope of the graph means what will give you? Slope of the graph. A is
Acceleration.
BD divided by AD. This is the slope. Okay, da? Please respond all of slope. Now, from this graph, you can notice it. We are able to see the trapezium here. Yes or no, guys? We can able to see the trapezium or not? So,
Yes,
what is
sir.
the we want to find? This will be useful for deriving third equation. Yes, Yelmokil? Recently also.
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Sir.
Laksha is not responding. So third equation. So that what is the here shape you are observing here, guys? Notice it and tell me what is
Sir,
shape. you are observing here?
trapezium.
Trapezium.
So what is this trapezium shape here? Tamil Selvan. Recently also I taught you. Do you remember?
Full, sir.
This is the shape
Fully.
called as trapezium. Yes, guys. Yes.
Yes, sir.
So trapezium
Yes, sir.
is called as. So what is this mania? Samaya? Trapezium means. Can you able to answer? Trapezium. So trapezium means what is the shape, Ra? So this is called as trapezium. So you can, if you will feel difficulty, you can turn this also like this if you want. So turning like in the sense of like this, you can turn. So then you can understand it. This is the shape of the trapezium. So what is the shape of this trapezium? Can you able to say? OABC.
A.
OABC. Yes, guys?
Yes,
OAB.
sir.
So OABC. Yes, Ra?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, that is. So now try to answer very carefully here. So as we know, what is the SP, what is the distance? Yeah, can I am not hearing you, Laksha. So what is the distance formula? We can calculate distance formula. Distance equals to what, guys? Distance S equals to what? Area of trapezium. What is that?
Yes, sir.
Area of trapezium.
So area of trapezium, what is the formula? Sum of the
Sum
parallel
of parallel
Sum of
sides
parallel.
divided by 2.
parallel sides into
Height.
Height
Divided by
divided by 2. Divided by 2.
correct. Now what is the parallel sides here? This is and this is called as parallel sides. Yes, guys.
Sir, AD, sir.
Yes,
Sir,
sir.
BC
AO
into
plus
AO.
BC into
Yes.
H
So-
by 2.
What is the height? This is the height. Correct? Yes.
Yes, sir.
Sir.
So
Divided by
CO.
2.
when it comes to here, this is the parallel sides and this is the height. So now
Height.
the parallel sides what? Please respond. Use
AO.
OA and BC.
OA and BC.
Sorry.
OA and
OA and BC.
yeah, OA plus BC. Understanding into what is the height?
CO.
OC.
OC divided
OC.
by 2. So
Divided by
2.
2.
which will give you distance traveled by a body. Any doubt? Distance traveled is
No,
Not out, sir.
sum of the parallel sides, understanding? Sum of the parallel sides into height divided by 2 will give you what will give you?
The
Distance.
distance traveled by the body.
If you remember this point, you can derive the third equation. Yes, Elmokil? Laksha?
Yes, sir.
Sir.
Yeah. Yes, if you remember this point, you can derive the third equation. Next what? Slope.
One triangle and rectangle.
You can derive which equation? Slope. Slope is equals to BD divided by AD. We can derive one equation. What is equation? First equation we can derive.
First equation.
Yes, next. The second
Sir.
equation I already made you very simple. What is the second equation? Second equation.
Sir, triangle and rectangle wanted it, sir.
Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Plus a rectangle. Area of a triangle plus area of a.
Rectangle.
Rectangle.
So this is rectangle, this is triangle. So both if you add area of that, you will get the second equation. Yes or no, guys?
Yes, sir.
Sir.
That is. So this is all about it. So this is the 3 types of graphs under second category. Now what is the last category? Speed time graph.